Alright, oh damn. I had a video just made, or not a video, I was channeling just now, and I was like, boom, I had a beginning, and I had an end, and I forgot the beginning, and then I forgot the end. I don't know. No, I'm about to go through transformation right now, so that'll be good. Can't wait. But, I'm cutting down rather than cold turkey, so here I am. For one of the last times for this, well, for now, I like this virtue project because it's just, I like having fun with thought. Anyways, what was the beginning? What was the beginning? The beginning is a theory of mine, and it's based upon Moses. Moses was like a high priest. He was like a high priest, and I think Samuel was the second Moses. He was a high priest, right? And I think Moses passed along information verbally, but eventually the verbal distorts and corruption takes in. And eventually you need a whole new high priest. And a high priest creates whatever world he wants. Right? The high priest or a priestess creates whatever world they want. Right? And I think that's kind of what we see in the Torah. Whether or not that's real in our day, I don't know. But that's the story that we get in the Torah. But it's a good story. It's I think stories are infinite, you know, and there's just so many just great story. It's like if we look at all of our ancestors, they're all wearing different costumes, and they're all speaking in different ways than we do, and it's just like variety is the story. That's why we were talking about ideology earlier, and there's no variety in ideology. um, but variety is what we see in life, and people talk about, if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it, and then there's many different iterations that agree and disagree, and yada yada yada. But so there is this sameness, but I think we can easily see this in our experience of the story, because it's like we watch a story, and the stories we love are the stories where the characters have heart. The stories we love are the stories where the characters have heart. Because we wish we had heart. You know. Um, but there's so many just different, beautiful stories you can think of, and they're all different. One of them's a kingdom where the king or queen is good, and everything is right, and another one is a story where the king or queen is wrong and everything is bad. Um, One of them's a story where ideology comes from the honesty of the mind, or a republic. A republic where ideology comes from the honesty of the mind, where a search for, it's like we're not the kings. We're searching for the best way, and we're talking with each other like civilized men and women. Um, then you have a democracy where it's just like kill, destroy, kill, destroy, kill. Anyways, that's a different story though. But like beyond all the political ideology, that's the sociological reality, right? Athens used to go around like genociding Greek peoples if they didn't agree with them, you know, or pay tribute, and both. Mm. Yeah, but that was the beginning. What was the end? Mm. That was the beginning. What was the end? I don't know. You know what I do know though? I like to see good stories. You know, I hate it when writers are blocked. And, you know, sometimes these ideological people can just block you, you know. um, but I've been ideological because I've said that, you know, goodness is the stories that we want to see, you know. But that's not always true, right? That's not always true because sometimes we like to see the bad character, you know. Um, but I think there is just a physiological reality to it all, and the physiological reality is that we have all these emotions within our bodies, and if you look at the historical reality, like we used to maybe have an excuse for these physiological realities, all these emotions within our body, all these hormones. We have all these different hormones within our body. And I think through stories we can experience the fullness of our physiological reality. You know, because like you might be a happy-go-lucky guy and you don't know what sadness is, but boom, you can experience it, or vice versa, or whatever, you know? And I think it's just a physiological reality, definitely. Um, we just like to experience the fullness of our hormones, you know? um, so, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know nothing. I'm just happy drunk.